Hello everyone, Andrew Newlun here with Newtography.com, and today we are going to go over the basic compilation of an HDR photograph. So you've already been out in the field and taken your 3 to 5 to 7 to 9, however many basic images, and today I'm going to show you how to compile those using Photomatix Pro. Photomatix Pro is the software I use, so you can go to their website, photomatixpro.com, and then go to the download tab, and you can have a free trial of this to check it out and see if you like it for Mac or Windows. Once you have that, you'll open it up, click on your whatchamacallit down here, open it up, load bracketed photos, and let's choose our shots. So here are the shots I have to choose from today. You're gonna help me choose here, all right? I need votes. We got a barn photo with a nice colorful sky. We've got a photo at the Bellagio Fountains in Las Vegas. Or we have the New York City Love Monument. This is one of my older photos, but it's usually a crowd favorite. So what do you guys think? All right, we will go with this. Calm down. There's no need for yelling. Good grief. We'll go with this one. All right, so what we're going to do is hold down the Command key on a Mac, Control key on a keyboard. Click our 3 highlights, shadows, midtones, our 3 photos. Load. And then it'll have them right here. You're just going to press OK. And these are the basic settings. I don't remember, I think it was taken on a tripod, but just to be safe, I'm going to keep it at handheld. Show options. I'm going to keep all 3 of these checked. I'll go over them with you. Show options to remove ghosts, poltergeists. If you didn't know that, you capture actual spirits of the dead in your photos. So you want to keep that on so we can remove all the scary ghosts. Reduce noise on all source images is pretty standard. Keep that on. Reduce chromatic aberrations, pretty standard again. I keep the white balance as shot. I usually try and get my white balance right in the field. So then you're just going to say align and show deghosting. So you'll get this beautiful blue and white bar that is very graphically rich, and it's going to guide you from start until, I don't know. Anyway, we're just waiting around, blowing off time while this thing does its voodoo magic with all the pictures, aligning source images, and the faster your computer, the faster this will go. Voila! All right, we're doing Selective D Ghosting, and obviously I was lying like a liar about the ghosts in the photos. Basically, that means ghosting in HDR is however many photos you use. I'm using 3 here. If like a person is walking in each 3 images, they're like going to be shadowy and walking through your HDR image. That doesn't always happen. As you can see here, what I'm going to try and remove are these little blotches of brightness that it tried to take out, the highlights that were completely blown out. And I'm going to do this by holding down my mouse and circling this over here. We got a little something going on there. Don't really see much else, so you can preview the deghosting and see what it does there. It'll bring it back a little bit. Doesn't do a really good job. It's still weird looking, but I do editing after this, so I'm going to blend that back in later. So just press OK. Some more voodoo magic. Gets rid of all the poltergeist and demonic activity in your photo. Merging to HDR. And oh, fail. I thought it was going to pop on my screen. Pretty lame, right? All right, so here we go. Now this is your HDR image. I do, you can do exposure fusion, which I don't really mess with, or tone mapping. I pretty much always tone map it. And we'll go from start to finish down the list of all your options here in the tone mapping. So your strength, obviously, this is how strong your photo is and if it's ripped or not. But seriously, this is just the strength of the HDR. So if you want a lot of HDR in it, I usually keep it all the way at 100. Color saturation, pretty self-explanatory. You take your saturation in or out as you wish. Tone compression, so this, it's a little tricky to explain in layman's terms. It's going to take all the midtones, highlights, yada yada, compress them and make them closer together, aka HDR, high dynamic range. Detail contrast. In your contrast, you have detail. How about that? And so I leave that pretty high. It just adds a little contrast. I like it. Now you have this down here, which if you want to go simple, you can click this little button and you can select between medium, natural, natural plus, surreal, or surreal plus. I rarely, if ever, use this. I keep this unclicked, and then I mess around with the lighting adjustments. So I usually keep it around like 30% to 70% of this bar, one way or the other, whichever one I like. Each photo is different. Having it in the middle, I think, is too bland across the board. So we're going to keep it at 4.0. Move on. Smooth highlights, pretty obvious. We got highlights here, and if they weren't smoothed, you'd be able to see them pretty drastically. Smoothing them out gives them that like dreamy film effect. White point, black point, and gamma pretty much control your exposure. White point's pretty obvious. It's gonna control your white point. Black point, same deal. Your blacks, amplify them. Gamma is basically your exposure control. Usually keep that towards the middle. Temperature, same standard stuff. Right is warmer, left is cooler. Keep it down the middle unless you need to adjust. Down here to the last thing, we have micro smoothing. So you get a lot of noise automatically in these photos. It's just how it is, especially shooting at night, long exposures. I'm sure I was shooting like ISO 800 or higher. So micro smoothing, you can go all the way up in a super smooth image. I like to keep these photos pretty bland because I do a lot of editing after the fact in Photoshop and Lightroom and Topaz. And so I keep the micro smoothing pretty minimum to keep some contrast in there. Saturation highlights, pretty self-explanatory. We got highlights. We can desaturate the highlights or oversaturate the highlights. Same thing with shadows, desaturate shadows, blah, blah, blah. Shadow smoothness, same as smooth highlights kind of up here. It takes your shadows, and if you have noise in them, it can smooth them out. Don't really use a lot of that. Shadows clipping, I have no idea. It's whatever it is, who knows. Anyways, clipping the shadows, yeah, so it clips the shadows. Pretty self-explanatory, I just never use it. 360 image, don't ask me, no idea. There's some presets down here that you can go through and play around with if you want, but if you don't want to, then do all your adjustments here. Now, let me say this. If you don't like post-processing and you're just going to do this right here in Photomatix, you need to try and make your photo look as best you can in Photomatix. I personally do a lot of post-processing after Photomatix, so I like to keep my photos bland coming out of Photomatix so that I have a lot of wiggle room later on. I'm going to press apply. It's going to do a little more voodoo magic. I don't know why I like that word so much right now. And then it's going to give you these three options as a little post-processing: your contrast, mild contrast, just adding contrast, simple stuff, color, sharpening. I usually do a little sharpening in here, then done. You can go up here to save as, or what I usually do is just click X, save. And I've already saved it once because I recorded this video and I wasn't recording like a dummy. Anyway, so save, yeah, replace it, whatever. And that's that. If you just do your work in Photomatix to make your HDR, then you're done. You're good. Now, depending on if you use a tripod or not, you may have a little cropping you need to do to eliminate some white edges. But for the most part, if that's all you want to do, you're set. For me, and I'm sure a lot of other people that want the best photo you can possibly create, I'm going to go into Lightroom here pretty soon and do some editing here and in Photoshop and some other software. But that's the basics video. If you want to stay tuned and click to the next video, we'll go through some amateur-ish, novice kind of editing in Lightroom with Photoshop and whatnot. But that is pretty much it for the basic compiling of an HDR image. So I hope this helped you guys out, and pretty simple and straightforward. If you have any questions, disable the comments, don't feed the trolls. Anyways, you can hit me up anywhere: Facebook, Google+, Instagram, Twitter. There's this new thing called email that just came out. I'm on email. And my email address is on my website. Yeah, pretty much wherever. So that is that. Andrew Newlun signing off. I don't know why I did that. Anyways, hope this helped. Love you. Bye.